Hi, you guys. Hi, you guys. Welcome, 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 welcome. I literally just sat down, clearly. Um, do I need to plug in this other light? I think this is fine. I don't need a ton of light, right? I think this is fine, honestly. Hi, you guys. Welcome. Happy Saturday. I know it's a little early than my usual time. I'm usually on here about 8 o'clock, but I'm on here today at noon. I'm sorry if that's so noisy, but welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me see if I can get a little bit more light working here. Did that help a little bit? Boom. Can y'all hear me? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Welcome, welcome, welcome. December, you guys. I figured, I know I'm not going to be on here next Saturday because it's my birthday. So I was like, let me hop on here. And I've got, hi, welcome, welcome, welcome. Good. So you can hear me and see me. I guess that lighting is fine. Let's do it all. Tell me where you're from. You know how it goes down. Tell me where you're from. Tell me where you're from. If you don't mind telling me where you're from. I think today we're going to talk about auctions, since I think that's why you always come to my channel, because auctions, right? Houston, Texas. What's up, Houston, Texas? Texas. You know, every time you say a state, Michigan, okay. Michigan. Anytime you say a state, I always got to think. It's like my mind, I'm like, okay, what are the foreclosure numbers in that state? What's going on with their auctions in that state? So when I see Houston, I'm like, okay, Houston, Texas, they have auctions the first week of the month, that Tuesday. I think y'all are the second Tuesday of the month or the first Tuesday of the month. Texas is when y'all have y'all's auctions. Michigan, Detroit, y'all are on the, well, I don't know if you're from Detroit, but Michigan, first Tuesday, right? So that's so great. That's how my brain works. As soon as you say a city, I'm like, okay, foreclosure, what list are they on? Are they on the top foreclosure list? Okay, or what's going on with the auction? So yeah, first Tuesday, you're like Georgia, Texas and Georgia, first Tuesday of the month, all the auctions. Michigan, so Detroit, I don't know if you're from, what part of Michigan you're from. Detroit made it on the greatest like foreclosure list, like top, I think they're in the top 10 cities with the most increase in foreclosures. So Michigan, I see you. Okay, it's 12:02. I kind of give people a chance to come on. So we got people, St. Louis, Michigan, Houston. Okay, cool. Let me jump in real quick and do an introduction before I start talking, because I always forget. So if you did not know, I'm Ashley Pickens here in Memphis, Tennessee. I have been in real estate since 2006. I got licensed in 2006 as a real estate agent. Then I became a real estate broker over a firm. And then now, how most of you have found me and know me and love me is because I'm an auctioneer. Like, I auction off foreclosures for the bank. I'm at the courthouse. I auction. I'm like your auction mama. I'm the one that says going once, going twice, sold. That's me. And if you still don't know, people are always like, so do you talk like super fast at the auction? I don't, but I'm that person, right? If that helps you know what an auctioneer is, that one who talks super fast, that's me. I just don't talk super fast though. So I auction off foreclosures. And so I recognize that auctions are still really, really, I think there's still really, it's a lot of unknowns about them. A lot of people still don't know where to find auctions, how to bid on them. Like, you always hear that they auction off foreclosures at the courthouse. Like, I heard that before I became an auctioneer. Like, I used to hear that they auction off properties at the courthouse. But I didn't know, like, what properties were going up for auction. I didn't know where to find, like, what time, what properties, how much it costs, how do you pay. Like, I didn't know any of that stuff, right? And then I became an auctioneer, and it's kind of like, I'm like your inside guy. So then I started sharing, like I started making videos on YouTube and just kind of letting people in on the auction world. And then that's probably where most people have found me, right? So I've got like 200 videos on you. If you don't know, I talk with my hands all the time, right? So I've got like over 200 videos on YouTube all about how to buy houses at the auction, how to pay at the auction, don't make these mistakes at the auction, just trying to educate people on the auction, because you can get like some great properties at the auction. Let me say that. That's the other reason I started making videos, because I'm like, where is everybody? Most people don't even know that you can get these properties at these great prices, right? So thank you everybody for being here. If you've got questions, absolutely type them below. Type them below. I will jump in, answer all the questions that I see. I will be on here tomorrow at 8 o'clock, my normal time. If you know, is this whose first time? Is this everybody's like first time watching? If this is your first time, let me know, right? If this is your first time, let me know. But usually I come on Sundays at 8 p.m. So I will be on tomorrow, 8 p.m., talking all things auction. But I want to come on here today too. So let's talk about, I know one thing we can go over. Foreclosure, cities, hot spots, what's going on, because like I said, I see Michigan, Houston, St. Louis. St. Louis, I didn't shout you out. St. Louis, okay, Missouri. It looks like everybody's right here, like in the middle of the states, kind of. You know what I'm saying. Michigan, Texas, whatever. Okay. So, you guys, are y'all still with me? Everybody's still with me. Let's talk about some foreclosure numbers, some foreclosure hotspots, cities, states that saw the most foreclosure increase. I'm waiting on, first time, welcome. Just so you know, I can talk. I can talk, jump in, throw your questions in. If you need to go take a break and come back, you absolutely can. Boom. It's like a telethon on these lives. So, I'm waiting on November's numbers to come out. They usually come out they'll be out this week. So, foreclosures across the United States. Let's talk about states with the highest foreclosure rates. Okay, we've got Delaware, Ohio, New Jersey, Maryland, and South Carolina. States with the highest foreclosure rates for October. If we're talking about cities, we've got Cleveland, Ohio, Atlantic City, New Jersey, Spartanburg, South Carolina, Bakersville, California, and Jacksonville, North Carolina. Those are cities with a population of at least 200,000. Now, if you want to know the big cities with 1 million, the big cities, Cleveland, Miami, Riverside, California, Houston, Texas. Boom, Houston, you on my list. With foreclosure, worst for Houston, Texas, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Highest foreclosure rates for the month of October. Can I buy property at the auction in my business name? No. Yep. Can you buy property? So when you go to the auction, you sign in. I was trying to see if I had a sign-in sheet here. Look, it's not like when you get a loan, like a traditional financing. I don't ask any of those questions, right? Because, again, at the auction, it's cash, right? So you sign in, my little clipboard, my Florida representing, my dog Rex, what's going on? You threw me off because you just came on. A warm Saturday afternoon. So when you sign in, it'll say, because people can bid on your behalf. If you can't make it, if you're out of town, it just asks for the bidder's name and the vesting name. So I always see people buy properties in their LLC name, right? It'll be Richmond Investments LLC or I Buy Properties LLC, right? You just put that on there, because keep in mind, at the auction, deeds and refunds come in the mail, okay? So I'm not going to give you a deed. I'm not going to give you a refund, but you need to make sure all of your information is correct with whatever name you want on that deed, personal name, business name, and address that you wanted to go to, right? And you want to make sure that address is correct, especially if you got a refund coming, right? Because if they sending you like $10,000 or $20,000 in the mail, you want to make sure your refund, your address is correct, right? You don't want to lose your coins in the mail. So I hope that answered your question. Auction in my business name, not, yeah, I don't even ask you for your social security number. It's literally like 3 lines. Look, as long as you got your coins, it's all that matters, right? I ask bidder name, vesting name, address, and I think like phone number is on that registration piece of paper. Now that's for me at the courthouse. Auction.com, they might ask for something else, but still, you can still bid in your LLC name for sure. For sure. Okay? Also, that reminds me, if you've never been to the auction, depending on which one you go to, like at the courthouse, I only accept 2 forms of payment. That is cashier's check and cash, right? And I mean, I don't advise you to bring me like $10,000 in cash, right? So, cashier's checks are the best way to buy at the auction. And keep in mind, I need it in full. Like, I need the complete payment in full at the auction. That's trustee sales. A lot of times they'll give people 24 hours. I don't know. I know auction.com, a lot of times, if it's in person, they want that money immediately. But if you're like bidding online, of course, I think they might give you 24 hours, or they might take a deposit. But those in person, I have been to in person at auction.com. And of course, at the courthouse, I need all the funds in full. So it's whether it's $5,000, $50,000, $500,000, I need it in full as soon as that auction is over. Okay? So the auction might not be for everybody, right? Everybody might not have liquid funds like that. So that's another good thing about the auction, though, because competition sometimes, depending on where you live, I know Florida, Texas, California, some of y'all's auctions are like ridiculously packed, right? But here, like in Memphis, we have like 4 or 5 people at the auction. But a lot of times that keeps competition down because a lot of people might not just have that cash, right? Immediately. So it just depends on where you live. But I always say this, it doesn't matter if you can't buy at the auction because you can probably buy an REO property. Because if I don't sell the property at auction, it goes back to the bank and becomes an REO, real estate owned by the bank, right? And you can use financing with that. You can use a conventional loan. You can use what? Hard money, or I don't know, like you can use traditional financing. You don't have to have cash, right? You might could even go FHA, like if it's like if a builder loses their properties, like a brand new house, boom, you could probably go FHA. You know what I mean? 203, FHA 203K, those REO properties. When you're dealing with the bank, you can negotiate, you can use financing. When you're dealing with me at the courthouse, all I want is cash. All I want is your coins at the courthouse. So keep that in mind. Another question I always get is the opening bid usually comes out like 24 to 48 hours. Usually, sometimes on auction.com, they will post them like, I see some opening bids already like on auction.com for January, right? It just depends on that attorney and probably the status of that house. Like if the house has been like vacant for a long time and that everybody's already, the bank has done their numbers, the attorneys have done their numbers, they can get that opening bid out sooner, right? But if it's not, and it's like people living in the house and they're trying to like scrape and pray and gather their coins, you know, and try to beat an auction, that opening bid might not come out until like 24, 48 hours before the actual auction. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? Yes? No? Maybe so? Yes? No? Maybe so? Let me tell you guys real quick. So, in the mentorship, right? D's not on here. Danita's not on here. Mentorship. There we got a property, right? Get this, you guys. Get this. Property. Send a letter. No, what happened? Okay, let me start at the beginning. Man bought a property January of last year. January of 2022. Okay? January 2022, bought the house. He died 2 weeks later, you guys. 2 weeks later. Never made a payment, nothing. Okay? January 2022. Why is the house just now? The house is set for auction January, it's set for auction next month on the 24th. January 2024. Never made a payment, right? Because he died, right? It has taken 2 years for this property to finally go into foreclosure, and it's up for auction next month on the 24th. I'm like, 2 years. But if you follow my channel, if you know me, you know that it's like 5 to 10 million people who have not paid their mortgage in at least 2 years. And this is just another example to show that that's the truth, right? 2 years. Never made a payment in 2 years. And just now going up for auction. Can y'all believe that? Can you believe that? So, yeah, anyway. They're trying to work that deal out right now. Because now the son has the property and he lives in California and doesn't really want the property, right? Long story. Anyway. But I just wanted to tell you, 2 years, no payments, finally in foreclosure. Auction is finally set for January 24th of next month. January 24th of next month. So, moving right along. Are y'all still with me? Everybody still with me? Don't forget, my live masterclass is on Thursday. It's absolutely free. Auction due diligence. And we'll talk about it on this live too. We can talk about a little bit of due diligence, what you need to do before you go to the auction. But I got a whole live masterclass on Thursday. It's free. Sign up below. Register below. Sign up for that below. Okay, everybody still with me? Yes. Thumbs up. Do something. Let me know y'all are still with me. And if you have questions, you know. Why 2 years? Heirs and must be. Don't ask me. Like, the son didn't even want it. Like, my mentee reached out to them because she saw the house hit the, it hit the public notice went out. So she reached out, found out that the son had heirship over it, is talking to the son, and the son's in California. He's like, I don't want that house. He's like, I don't even know who to talk to about, to even go about selling the house, right? Because when she called him and was like, you're in foreclosure, the house is up for auction. He's like, I didn't know anything about what's going on, which I don't even know if that's entirely true, right? I don't know about that, but he hadn't paid. That's the true part. Like, the past due balance is like $32,000, right? Because a payment was never made on that house. So when he died, the property went to the son. And so now the son is trying to sell it before it goes up for auction next month on the 24th. Boom. So, I don't know why 2 years. And I think that's more on the bank. You know what I mean? That's more on the bank. That's why it has taken so long for a property to foreclose. 2 years, no payments. So, January 2022 to January 2024. But anyway, let's go back to the numbers. States with the highest REO properties. Like I said, if it doesn't sell at the auction, it will revert back to the bank and become an REO, real estate owned by the bank. So, states with the greatest number: Pennsylvania, Illinois with 273, Ohio 231, California with 219, and Michigan 216. And then cities with the greatest REOs: Chicago, Illinois, New York City, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Washington, D.C., and Detroit, Michigan. Michigan, y'all are on the list. Y'all on the list. So, But don't feel bad because it's always California and Texas and Florida on the list too. So don't worry about that. Okay, so back to, and keep in mind, if you have auction questions, just let me know. When it comes to, people always like, how do you find auction properties, right? How do you, which is the biggest, I think the biggest question mark that people have is, where do you find them? How do you find them? And people are always like, go look in the paper, right? And look, this trusty paper right here, every time I pick it up, it's like dusty. People are like, look in the paper. And you're like, what paper am I supposed to look in, right? With liens, is it better to buy at auction versus seller? So if we're talking about liens, so if you get the property before it goes to auction, then yes, whatever that client's payoff is, you know what I mean? Or whatever proceeds they were going to make from selling, they got to clear all those liens, right? So if they thought they were about to make $50,000 and they got a $10,000 mechanics lien sitting out there, they only gonna make $40,000, right? So yes, liens and title has to be clear if you buy it before it goes to auction, if you deal directly with the seller. Now, after it goes to auction, like after you come to the courthouse and see me and I say going once, going twice, boom, that usually clears those liens, right? That usually clears the title. So as far as liens go, it's going to be better to pick it up from the auction. But if you know how to do a title search, you know what I mean? Or if you know how to check that title before it goes up for auction and realize they don't have any liens, then you'll be good, right? I teach all of that in my auction accelerator course. It's not, hey, sassy girl, you are in California, right? California, I think I'm correct. I'm guessing. Or Atlanta, California. Okay, and if the original buyer has mortgage insurance, the property should be paid by probably sent to be, price seems to be. I don't look, my dog Rex, look. And the third. So, hold on, are you talking about, Rex, are you talking about the title, or are you still talking about the guy whose house it took 2 years? Atlanta, boom, okay, that's what I thought. It was California or Atlanta, I knew one or the other. Are you talking about his property with the liens, his question, or are you talking about the guy that took 2 years to foreclose? But, well, y'all, what were we talking about? You know me, I get thrown off. But liens, before you buy, after you buy, after it goes up for auction, it should clear the title. But if you get directly with the seller, I think it's got pros and cons on each, right? If you can talk directly to the seller, there's no competition. Well, I mean, people are calling them, you know what I mean? But at least you're talking directly to the seller. You're not caught up in a bidding war at the auction, right? But you do have to make sure. And then I guess the other part about the seller is you can kind of build that trust of, hey, when can you move out? You know what I mean? Because you do have to worry about that, right? And you could be like, hey, we're working with you. You get this money. We can find a price that's good for you. And I can work with you on your move out date. Like, let's keep it really friendly, if you know what I mean. Unlike at the auction, if you buy the property at auction and they live in it, now you got to try to reach out to that tenant as the, hey, just bought your house. When you gonna move? You know what I mean? And they're like, I didn't get any money. You knocking on my door. You know what I mean? Like, but the liens are cleared, right? You know what I mean? And you don't have to worry about most of the liens are cleared anyway. You just got to do your due diligence regardless, right? And if you buy directly from the seller, right? If you buy directly from the seller, you can use traditional financing, right? You can get a loan, conventional loan, hard money, because you have time. You can do a contract, right? You say, okay, 30 days, 40 days, I'm going to buy your house, right? That gives you time to get your money. Also, on that traditional side, you have, it's like a traditional loan. You close, right? You have a title company. They do a title search. So all of that is included like in your closing costs. So if you do talk directly to them, that closing company is going to run that title, right? Title search, do all that, find out what's on the title, pay off those liens with the proceeds. Boom. Unlike at the auction, you got to do your own title search, right? And then you hoping and praying that you read that title right and that the liens fall off. Boom. And if there are past due taxes, you got to pay those past due taxes too. When you buy at the auction, the past due taxes are not included in that winning bid, unless it's a tax sale, right? If it's tax sale, then you pay the taxes, right? But foreclosure auctions, taxes are not included. So, but if you buy from the homeowner directly, they're going to pull them taxes out, you know, from their proceeds, along with the liens and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's like, whatever works best for you. You know what I mean? If the man that died had mortgage insurance, the mortgage should be, I guess, I don't know. Look, all I know is he ain't paid it in 2 years. Boom. It's in foreclosure. And he owed $32,000. And the taxes behind. Taxes have not been paid. They are showing red on the county site. Boom. So, I don't know if he had mortgage insurance. Thanks. Bond auction seller, of course, we'll learn all this, right? Absolutely. I'm going to teach you how to do a title search. Just make sure you're ready to take notes. But I got you in the auction accelerator. And anybody interested in buying the course, the code is birthday, because this is my birthday month. Use code birthday and get a discount on the auction accelerator. So yes, I teach you how to do a title search, right? Because that could get kind of expensive if you're looking at like 3 or 4 properties to buy at the auction, right? Like if you were going to pay like a title company to do a title search on properties that you want to buy at auction, right? That you might not even get. So you're just better off just trying to learn yourself, right? And it's not challenging. You just got to know what you're looking for, right? You just got to make sure you're buying the right lien. First position, primary mortgage is what you're looking for, right? Right. So, and thank you. Absolutely. Auction accelerator code is birthday. The mentorship is open. We had a really good mentorship this past week. They role played. I don't cold call. Pre-foreclosures, I do not cold call. That is not what I do, right? But I brought somebody in, like an investor, and he cold called with them and kind of walked through, like, you know, role play. So they could, if you want to cold call, you can learn. Just because I don't do it don't mean you don't have to do it, right? Boom. So that's the mentorship. It's open. All the links are below. Sign up for the masterclass on Thursday. It's free. And I'm going to teach you even more about auction due diligence. And I'll give some stuff away. I always give stuff away. Like a checklist or something that'll help you. Right? So, let me make sure I'm not missing any questions. Okay. So where were we? Auctions. Talking to the seller. Where do you find auction properties, right? So people say, look in the paper. That's that age-old myth where you look in the paper. Just look in the paper. Y'all, I've literally had people come up to me at the auction. They will wait for me on the side as soon as the auction is over with the paper. And it's like, where do I look in this paper, right? Because everybody says look in the paper. So you're looking for the public notices is what you're looking for in the paper. And like I've said before, it's usually like a smaller paper. It's not like that big Chicago Times, LA Times, New York Times, all the times. It's not in those papers. It's usually in the small paper, right? That you can pick up at the library or the grocery store or something. You know, y'all know what I'm saying, where they get the little small papers. And you're looking for the public notice, okay? And it'll say, sometimes it's like a substitute trustee or a public notice. I'm trying to, I used to get these. Like I used to get these because these come out like every week. So I used to order these, but now I found it online. So I just go online. Look at me saving the trees. Save the trees. So here's some, I'm going to try to show you right here. I told you here in Shelby County in Memphis, you guys, they put all our business out in Memphis. They'll put if you owe child support, if you owe alimony, if you get a divorce, If you got court in the morning, they're going to put all your business out, right? You don't have to pay for it. It's just there. So here's one. Here's a foreclosure notice. So you're going to look for, it's going to say, you see where it says public notices, you guys? I know y'all can see that. Public notices. And here's one that's like says foreclosure notice. But it's just, okay. So let me take you back real quick. We're going to go back to foreclosure 101, the process. So when a homeowner gets behind, right? Usually 3 months will usually trigger that foreclosure process, right? They miss 3 months of payments. The bank is going to send their file basically to their attorney, right? Because once you miss your first payment, right, the bank is calling you. You missed your payment, whoop, whoop, whoop. After 3 months and you don't pay, the bank is going to turn your file over to their attorney, right? And now their attorney is going to start calling you, right? Because the bank like, I ain't got time for this. So their attorney is going to send you a notice, right? And sometimes it's called the acceleration notice or reinstatement, right? And it's going to say you have 30 days, right? The notice is going to say you have 30 days to pay your past due amount or your house is going up for auction in 30 days. That is what that notice says, okay? So when they send that to the homeowners, they also file it, boom, in the paper, okay? And that's a public notice, and that's letting people, any interested parties who have any interest in this property, know that this house is going up for auction. Like, they have to do it. They've got to let people know. If they forget to file it, that will start the process over again. Y'all have seen that happen. If they put the wrong address on it, right, they got to file it again and go through that process again. So, that is what you're looking for. You're looking for that notice that's saying this house is up for auction in 30 days. Everybody with me? Yes, if you're with me. No, if you're not with me. So, in the paper, you're looking for the public notice. And that's a great place to find auctions 30 days before they go up for auction, right? Now, most people, like my seasoned investors, they got like a spreadsheet, right? Because you're not going to carry around like 50 papers, right? And how are you supposed to remember? So they'll start a spreadsheet, right? Pull these addresses, put it on a spreadsheet, address. That gives you time to what? Do your due diligence. Right? Because now you got 30 days to check on this property. Are there people living in it? You can drive by it. What kind of repairs are needed? You can start looking at that title, right? Is this a property that you're actually interested in buying at the auction? So a lot of people look for these notices, right? Because you need as much time as you can get. And then also, everybody who want to get in contact with the people before they go to auction, right? You pull it from the public notice, right? Now you got 30 days to try to talk to them and try to get them to cooperate with you, right? Before their house goes up for auction, right? Look at me giving y'all all the help, right? So public notices are in the paper. You can also, if you literally are like, I don't want to buy where I live, you can Google, right? Because it is 2023 at this point. You can Google whatever county you're looking for and whatever county you want to buy in and put public notices. Like, I live in Shelby County. So I would put in Shelby County public notices and try to see what pops up. Memphis Daily News is going to pop up when I put in Shelby County public notices. This paper is going to pull up, okay? And then I can go from there. A lot of times, your county website will post the public notices. But sometimes you got to pay for those, right? I think like Nashville, you have to pay for it. I think Atlanta, y'all got to pay for it. Detroit, I think y'all got to pay for it. Detroit is like, the only reason I know this is because people like in the mentorship, and so I help them. I think it's, I can't think of the site, but Detroit has like a small paper, but yeah, you still got to pay for that too, to access the public notices. And then another place that people, I don't know why y'all don't want to go to like auction.com. They post auctions, right? And sometimes they post like January's auctions are on there. Auction.com is a legit site, honestly. Now it's plenty of them. Auction.com, Hubzu, like HUBZU.com, Xome, like home with an X, Xome, XOME.com. I mean, it's a bunch of like little WilliamsAuctions.com. That's like a smaller auction platform. But like find them and bookmark them, right? So you can always go back each month, each week, however often. But what I was saying is when you find the public notices, start like a spreadsheet. Yeah, put in Birmingham public notice, or what's the county? Put in the county. I don't know what Birmingham County is. You know what I mean? Or is Birmingham? I don't know. Are you talking about Birmingham, Alabama? Or are you talking about like Birmingham is your county? You know what I mean? So, but put in the county. You know what I mean? Whatever county. I live in Shelby County. So put in your county. Cook County, Fulton County, Harris County, Jefferson County. Boom. Jefferson County public notices. And then kind of scroll and look. You might have to take a little time. Just be patient. Dig a little deeper. You know what I mean? And then you should be able to find it, right? But again, auction.com, Hubzu, Xome, RealtyTrack.com. It's a bunch of little auction sites. Williams Auctions. If you want commercial auctions, that's like 10x.com, CREXI.com. Those are like some good commercial sites. If you want land, there's landwatch.com, landandfarm.com. It's a bunch of like auction sites. People always ask me, commercial, land, residential, multifamily. Just look, you know what I mean? Just dig a little deeper. But though that's where you find properties. Paper, public notices, auction websites. Those are some really good places to at least get you started. Track the houses. That's what I was saying. Start your spreadsheet. Put the address, right? Maybe if it's a property that you like, you can look it up on Zillow, Trulia, Realtor, whatever PropWire, whatever you want to use, right? And then make your list of properties that you're interested in. And then you've got to do your due diligence, you guys. Got to do your due diligence. Drive by that property. Y'all, if you watched, if this is not your first time here, you know me. Drive by that property, right? What do I say? Don't trust Zillow, Google, Trulia, Realtor, Redfin. Don't trust any of them, okay? I have heard of people. So keep in mind, when this public notice goes out, okay, it's 30 days before the actual auction. Within those 30 days, anything can happen to that property, right? The homeowner could file bankruptcy. The homeowner could get a modification. The homeowner could sell it, right? Some of these things will cancel an auction. Some of these things will postpone an auction, okay? If they are trying to sell it, that will postpone an auction, right? If they're doing a forbearance, if they're talking to the bank might give them some more time. So just because like this auction, it says it's scheduled for, this is an old paper, first of all. The auction was scheduled for October 13th, right? It can be postponed to January 13th, right? So that's what you need to keep track of on your spreadsheet. It's a property tracker in the auction accelerator. And I have all the lists and all that you can keep track of the properties. But keep track of the postponement date, right? Because just because it's been postponed does not mean it's been canceled, okay? So keep track of the postponement date so you're ready when it goes to auction. Also, drive by the property. Say it with me, everybody. Drive by the property, okay? Because say you drive by this property, it goes up for auction October 13th. You drive by in October, right? But they asked the church, and the church said they was going to give them some money to catch up their mortgage. So now they just got to wait for the money from the church, right? But the bank is postponing the auction until January, right? Because they are waiting on the Lord to give them this money to catch up their mortgage, right? So they're postponing the auction in January. A lot can happen to that house between October and January, right? It could burn to the ground, right? Anything could happen. Like I said, it could burn to the ground. So you need to drive by October when the auction is, and then when it's reset for January, drive by again in January. Okay? A lot of these properties, if nobody has lived in them for a long time, they'll be up for what? Condemnation, right? And if the city come and condemn your house, right? I don't know at the auction, honestly. I don't know what that property looks like. I don't know if people live in it. I don't know if that title is clear, right? I'm just up there auctioning the property off. Keep that in mind. So, if the house was set to go up for auction in October, and say the city came and condemned it in December or the beginning of January, I don't know. That loan is still out there, right? 9 times out of 10, I'm still auctioning off that property. It's up to you to go drive by and see if that property is still there. And I have heard of people buying a pile of dirt thinking that that house was still there. Can you imagine? Can you imagine, right? You drop off $50,000, $75,000 and it's a piece of dirt and you thought it was a house. Your feelings going to be hurt all year. All year, your feelings are going to be hurt, right? So that's the importance of driving by. Drive by the morning of, the night before, whatever you need to do. And I don't care if it gets postponed 3, 4 times. Drive by before you bid. Everybody with me? Say it in the notes. Drive by. Drive by that property. And the other thing, like I always say, you need to see if people live in that house, right? At the auction, people can still live in that house. I put up a YouTube reel. I put up one of those videos today about people living in the property. Yes, if you buy a property at the auction, people can still live in it. Like I said, this notice goes out to the homeowner saying you got 30 days to catch up your mortgage or you got to be out, right? So say they don't catch it up. They probably hadn't moved either, right? So there is a chance that those homeowners could still be in the property. And if they are, and you buy the property, you're responsible for evicting them, okay? That is now your new responsibility. So that's something you need to know going into an auction because you need to factor that into your bid, right? Into how much you're willing to pay because you might need to factor in some eviction costs, right? Right? And you got to factor in, hey, I might not be getting access to this house for 30 days, 45 days. We're going to hope and pray they're like some nice people who are like, okay, I'm going to move. But there's no guarantee on that, right? So you might be holding on to a property and can't even get access to it because you got people living in it, right? One of my mentees right now bought a property in New York at the auction and the people still lived in it, right? So he's going through finally, I think he bought it like 2 months ago at the auction. So we did the cash for keys letters, right? You got cash for keys. That's in the auction accelerator too. Cash for keys letter, right? So he tried that method because I'm always like, lead with love, right? Because these people are in your house and you honestly don't want them to like destroy it, right? So he did that, sent out letters, talked to him, sent out letters. He didn't get a response for a while, but they just called him and now they are trying to buy the house back from him. So that is what he is going through right now. I think he said the house is worth, it's like a brownstone. It was worth like $800,000. He got it for like $400,000 at the auction. And now they finally reached out and they're trying to buy it back from him. So that's what he's working on right now. My point is, you need to know if somebody lives in that house, right? And, people don't trust Zillow and Trulia and all that because a lot of times it's just the front picture, right? When you go on Zillow and Trulia. Look, if I'm about to drop off like $75,000, $100,000, $150,000, I need to see that whole house, right? Like I need to pull up because it might have like a front exterior and then the whole back of the house is burnt down, right? So do what you have to do, but be very careful. Like I'm not telling you to walk up on people's houses. And I know a lot of investors will walk up to people's houses, right? Like I know people who will door knock, right? They door knock on pre-foreclosures, right? And say your house is up for auction. Boom. I'm not saying do that, right? I'm just saying know what you're bidding on. Know that, right? Estimate repairs. Keep in mind, at the auction, you can't see the inside of these properties. You are essentially bidding blind. So like I said, this ain't for everybody. This is not everybody's life, right? Everybody's risk tolerance is not auction. Everybody's risk tolerance is not set to auction. Okay, most people's risk tolerance is set to like MLS, right? Or REO, or I need to see it and be comfortable, right? Everybody's risk tolerance ain't up here on auction, okay? Because again, like I said, you're buying blind. You might be buying a property with people in it and you have no idea what the inside looks like, okay? All you can see is the outside and that's it. So that in itself, you got to make sure your numbers are, you got to put some cushion in your numbers, right? Because you don't know what the repairs are. So you got to make sure you got enough cushion for whatever is going on in that house once you buy it, right? And the fact that you got to bring that money to the auction, whatever you're willing to pay, that needs to include that cushion. If you got to evict people, repairs, all that is how you set your max bid on what you're willing to pay. Everybody still with me? Y'all still with me? Y'all gonna get off this live and be like, I ain't never going to the auction. That's not my point. That's not, I just do this so you're prepared because you can get great deals, right? Like most investors are like, I say this all the time on here. When I poll like Instagram or YouTube and I'm like, would you buy a house that you cannot see the inside of? And all my investors, if you're an investor, most people will be like, yep, if the numbers are right, I absolutely will. And then the other half of people are like, no way. Ain't no way I would buy a house that I can't see the inside of. So, would y'all buy a house if the numbers were right? Like if the numbers, and when I say the numbers, y'all know, I think most people on here are in real estate, want to be in real estate, understand what I mean when I say if the numbers are right, would you buy a house that you can't see? Look at me, I'm going to be, yes. What do y'all say? Yes, would you buy it? Or I ain't buying a house that I cannot open the door and walk in and see what's going on the inside. Most people would say yes. But, you know, like I said, everybody's risk level is not set to auction. Because that's a whole nother ball game. What would y'all do? Yes, y'all would buy. No, that's not your life. Okay, you guys. Look, you know, I'm checking the time because I can talk. We're going to be on, we might have started at 12, but then we're going to go all the way to 8 to the normal time. So, okay, where am I? How can you know if the numbers are right if you don't know the status? So there you go. Look, that is the $1 million question, right? How do you, and that's that auction. That's why the auction is not for everybody. But if you do your due diligence, you just gotta cushion. That's gonna be your main cushion, right? So in the auction accelerator, I have a part in there where because everybody's like, how do you run numbers, right? How do you run numbers on a house that you can't see the inside of? And I will say that for investors, each investor is different, right? Some investors are like, I'm trying to think of what's in that course. So most investors, right, they're going to want that property for 70% of that after repair value. All investors have their own formula. You do what works for you, right? But a lot of investors do that 70% formula. If it's worth $300,000, I need to get it for, what is that, like 210? I need to pick it up at the auction for $210,000. And that should cover, hopefully my repairs will be like $20,000. That'll still give me room to profit and sell it or whatever they do. You just got to figure out your numbers. Some investors go off of square footage, right? If the house is 1,200 square feet, I know it'll cost me, I'm just throwing up, y'all, this might not be the right number. You know what I'm saying? But if it's 1,200 square feet, it might be $20 a square foot for me to redo that whole house. So I'm going to calculate that number in my budget, right? That's how you just got to have your formula for, I automatically know I got to go in and repaint that whole house. And it's a 1,200 square foot house. I might have to do kitchens. I might have to replace, you can see the roof. That's why you got to drive by. You can look at that roof and say, I might need to replace that roof. That's that amount of money. You know what I mean? Like, you got to guesstimate as much as you can, but leave a cushion, right? And that's why it's not, if the property is $300,000, you're not coming in at $290,000, right? You need to get that property for like $200,000 or $210,000. You know what I mean? Like, that's, you just got to make sure that spread is good enough to cover any repairs that you have, plus profit, plus carrying costs. If you got utilities, if you got to pay a real estate agent, all that kind of stuff. Calculate that in there, and then there's your maximum bid that you can pay, right? And sometimes that number is low, right? If it's worth $300,000, you like, I ain't paying no more than $200 for it. Boom. That's your formula. Stick to your $200. Does that make sense? I hope that helps a little more. Okay, you're telling, yes, I'm balling. I don't know how the numbers work. Gotcha. Yeah. HUD Home Store, those are like some good. But again, if the auction is not your comfort level, right? REO websites, those are the properties that did not sell at the auction, which will be a lot, you guys. If you've been following me, you understand that I think the REO market is going to blow up, right? Because I've seen so many houses that were just bought post-COVID, 2020, 21, 2022, back up for auction, right? And those numbers don't make sense for the guys at the auction. That does not make sense for an investor, because keep in mind that opening bid is the loan amount, right? So if somebody just bought last year, 2021, they owe that whole loan, right? So there's no room for an investor to pick it up and make money off of it. So if I can't sell it at auction, it reverts back to the bank and becomes an REO property, okay? So the REO market is going to explode, mark my word. But REO properties owned by the bank does all that work for you, right? I did an auction masterclass in October. It's on YouTube. It's under the lives. You can go look. I did a whole masterclass on auctions versus REO properties. So REO, you can use financing. The bank has done all the work for you on an REO property. They have trashed it out. You can get inside of it. You can get keys, all that. Now, they probably haven't done like the major repairs, right? But they've at least trashed it out. The tenant is not in there, and now they have it back, right? And you can go in and use traditional financing. That's FHA 203K. That's conventional. That's a VA loan. You can do that with REO properties, okay? And that might regulate your blood pressure, unlike buying at the auction and you don't know what you're going to get, right? Could be like a Jack in the Box. You know what I mean? You just open the door and you don't know what's going to be there, right? It could be like a nice and neat and diamond in the rough, or it could be like, you know what I mean, a whole bowl full of sugar honey iced tea. You know what I'm saying? You just don't know. But that's Tucson, Arizona. Look at me. Tucson, you were number. I'm sorry, I always do that. Like I just said that. Like if you put up a city, I'm like, Tucson. I run it through like my mind, like, okay, what's going on with their foreclosure market? What's going on with their distressed property? Tucson, y'all were like number one for greatest increase in foreclosures this year. Hold on, let me find it. Tucson. I think you were in the top 10 for sure. For sure. Because I remember, I think I'm like a human foreclosure auction library. Hold on, let me find top 10 cities. Yep, Tucson, you were number one. I knew you was number one. Top 10 cities with the greatest increase in foreclosures and the biggest increase. Oh, is that what's going on down there too? Over there? Y'all on the West Coast. Tucson, top 10 cities with the greatest increase in foreclosures, right? Greatest percentage increase. Tucson, up 24%. You see how I just transitioned right into the numbers real quick? I'll get back to auctions. Look, it's my mind. Okay, so Tucson, up 24%. Costa Mesa, up 20%. Denver, up 17%. Palm Springs, up 17%. Detroit, up 16%. Johnson City, that's Tennessee, 14%. Oceanside is up 12.9%. Encinitas is up 12.5%. Portland, up 11%. And number 10 is Newport Beach, up 10%. Greatest percentage increase of foreclosures. So funny. You just type in your city and I'm like, Tucson, you're number one on the list. Anyway, clearly I just eat, breathe, and sleep real estate, right? So, welcome from Tucson. Did I answer question REO? And then I come right on back to where we were at, right? REO properties, you can use financing. You can use conventional hard money. You can get inside of the property, right? You can negotiate. That's the biggest thing, biggest takeaway. Negotiate with the bank, right? It's the bank, right? Negotiate with them. Always. When I used to work with REOs, like I'd go back and forth with the bank, I think at least 3 times, right? You offer, they come back with their counter, offer again, come back at least 3 times, right? You can negotiate that price. You can negotiate repairs. You can negotiate appliances. It's the bank, right? They want to get rid of that house. Negotiate, okay? If you don't take anything else from me, take that when it comes to REOs. Because you can't negotiate with me. Not at the auction, right? I set the opening bid, boom. And it's up from there, right? And it's up. But with the bank, REOs, you can absolutely negotiate, okay? So do that. Keep that in mind if you're thinking about REOs. That's HUD Home Store. There we go. I knew I got to get there. I always take the scenic route, right? But you can buy REO properties, HUDHomestore.com. That's homesteps.com, like homestep.com, homepath.com. HUD Home Store, Home Steps, HomePath. Auction.com has some REO properties, right? If you filter it for auctions and then it might say REO. You can find REO properties on auction.com too. So that's where you find REO properties. Are y'all with me? So, but either way, still do your due diligence, but you really got to do your due diligence at the auction, okay? Just to recap though, don't forget the masterclass is on Thursday. It's live, it's absolutely free, and I'm going to go into even more detail about auction due diligence, right? The sign up is below. It's free, you guys, and there'll be a replay. If you missed, okay, so October's masterclass was auction versus REO. November's masterclass was tax sales, because y'all sweat me about tax sales. Tax liens versus tax deeds. And then this month, December's masterclass will be auction due diligence. Before you bid, what you need to do. Okay, and they are all free. All the replays are, yes, good. And I give away stuff like a list or a checklist, or I always do that. And if you missed the other masterclasses, they are under my live tab here on YouTube. Okay, so you can go watch them. Get a feel if you really want to see me in action at a masterclass. But this is it. This is how I am. So don't worry, I'm not going to turn into like Charlie Brown when we get into a masterclass, right? So, but sign up for that. Of course, the Auction Accelerator, it's available. It teaches you all about bidding. And the code for this month is birthday because it's my birthday month. So use code birthday. The mentorship is open. It is absolutely open. Those are for those people who want to get in contact with homeowners before they go to auction, right? And, you know, enlarge their territory. Let me say that. So, absolutely, you guys. And I will be back tomorrow, my normal time, Sunday, 8 o'clock, right here on YouTube. Click on the link below, right? And then you can see all my stuff. Sign up for the newsletter. Sign up for the masterclass. Get all the things, right? So I will be back tomorrow. Make sure to subscribe, like, and I will see you guys tomorrow. You are welcome. You are welcome. You are welcome. Okay, you guys. If I don't have any more questions, can you believe I only talked an hour. Tomorrow night we'll go for like 2 hours. If y'all don't have any more questions, I'm on Instagram, Your Agent Ashley. On Instagram, I'm on YouTube. Duh, because here I am. But, okay, you guys, I will see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Okay, adios, you guys. Adios. See you tomorrow.